Hi guys, literally the worst hipster you've ever seen here with Rhyme Signatures, the nerdiest music review this side of finally jumping on a bandwagon that so many have already done. And today I want to start talking about something a little bit, off the cuff, not quite so scripted, not quite so structured, because I've started collecting vinyl records, finally. Jesus, that took me a while. You see, the thing is, the sad truth of the matter is, I've spent most of my life being a CDs kind of guy. I have a lot of CDs. I've got some ones that I really like. I've got sort of like the kind of, got some Bowie, got some Big Train, like Catafalque. I've got like some bit of Elton. Got a bit of that. Got a bit of Between the Buried and Me. I've got a lot. I've got a lot of CDs. And I've always loved CDs because, it's faultless. You don't get any issues with the sound quality. There's no popping. They're quick and easy, transportable, whatever. But I got afflicted last week at Record Store Day. I picked up a couple of vinyls and I kind of really liked it. And so I figured, sod it, do you know what? I'm actually just going to get on the bandwagon. So bought a player and I've got the startings of a collection at long last. And I just want to I want to show you what I've got, show you what I've picked up so far, and just talk a little bit about what I've got so far. Nothing too strenuous here. I'm not going to go off like the beaten track on like I normally do and just talk for 8,000 years about XYZ aspect of each record, because this is a very much, like I say, a off-the-cuff, laissez-faire sort of a thing. So let's get started and we'll talk a little bit about one of the first things that I picked up. So this is a wonderful record, The Life and Times, or at least the music inspired by The Life and Times of Scrooge McDuck, by Tuomas Holopainen. Probably done that completely wrong. But this was something I couldn't resist, because I do actually already have this one on CD, but the CD version that I've got has been signed by Scrooge McDuck in gold pen, which I got done at Disneyland, which was a hoot. The character performer playing the part of Scrooge was having a great time, and he saw that. He was like, oh, duck noises, etc., etc. But no, I picked this one up just because it was there at my local record store. I wasn't expecting to see this sort of thing at my local record store. The gatefold's really nice. You've got all these, it just looks cool. It's got loads of little bits of artwork and stuff like that from the actual comics. Even the protector sleeves, the vinyl sleeves, look pretty slick as well. Again, they've got the artwork on the back there of Scrooge. And yeah, it's just really, really nice. It's a fun record. It's a very interesting record. It's kind of like part soundtrack, part concept album, part prog. It's kind of cool. It's very different. It's not like anything you'd expect from Tuomas, because obviously, he normally works with Nightwish, so you've got a lot of the symphonic elements of transfer, let's put it that way, but not a lot of the metal has put itself across. This is very much a soundtrack to a graphic novel, if you will, and it's great. It's really, really good, and I just couldn't resist picking that one up. Next on the hit list is another one that I had to get myself. It is Dodd Heimsgaard's Black Medium Current. Now, this is quite a special one to me, because this record is actually easily at the moment my front runner for the record of the year. It is astonishingly good. I have already reviewed this one on the channel. If I can figure out how to make it work, there is a link up there to watch the full review. Absolute dynamite, genius album. It is just the most extraordinary avant-garde black metal, and it's just really, really special. The gatefold is nice as well. You've got the band all there looking very prim and proper and suitably avant-garde and very black metal, obviously, as you'd expect. And again, you've got these nice sort of protector sleeves as well. You've got the lyrics on one of them, on both of them actually, and some lovely pictures of the band as well. It sounds incredible on vinyl. It really, really does. It really just suits the format incredibly well. And honestly, if you've not picked this one up, oh my goodness, please do. It's just an exceptional record from start to finish. You really need to hear it. Okay, following up from that, one of my personal favourites from ages ago. Now, I say ages ago, it's not really ages ago, is it? It's like, 10 years, maybe 11 years. But I picked up the first Ghost record, Opus Eponymous. Always lovely. I haven't fallen out of love with Ghost, like, completely, but I did feel that Impera was not their best work by any stretch of the imagination. But Opus Eponymous has always had a really special place in my heart, because it really does embrace that sort of 70s styling, that aesthetic and sound really, really strongly. The gatefold, again, very nice. You've got the symbol in there. You've got the lyrics written in a font which is literally almost impossible to understand. Nobody's reading that properly. Nobody. Vinyl itself, fairly basic. You know, it's your bog standard black vinyl, but you know, it's a good record. You know, it's really solid, and honestly, it suits the format incredibly well. Everything just feels right coming out of the vinyl speakers on this thing. It works, and it's a really cool piece of artwork as well. I especially like the sort of you know, the shiny font for the actual logo itself. That's really, really nice. But I do honestly feel at this early stage, like Opus Eponymous, whatever the sophomore was called, I can never get the name right. You know, the first sort of 3 records I feel was definitely the band at their peak, when they were like really embracing that sort of old school 70s heavy metal style before. I know, Prequel, okay, fair enough, Prequel, I still love Prequel. That's still a great record. It's just their latest, Impera, where they sort of embraced the 80s sort of stadium rock style. I don't hate it, but I don't love it, you know? But it was really nice to sort of re-explore this one and just go back to, like, the old school stylings that they really sort of started their career with. Okay, next up. This one was quite special. I was not expecting to find this in my local record store, but I was very pleased that I did. It's, Cult of Luna, with their 2021 record, The Long Road North. Now, this particular version of the record, I mean, it's gorgeous artwork. I love these sort of like matte and gloss aesthetic it's got going on there. But this in particular was the limited edition one, actually, of the transparent... If I just hold this very carefully, I wasn't going to get people yelling at me. The transparent... black and white marbled effect there. Now, he's limited to 300 copies in the entire world, and one of them was in my local record store, so frankly it would have been rude of me not to buy it. It's an astonishingly good record in its own right. It was reasonably high up in my 2022 tier listing last year. Like, still love this album so very, very much. If you've not heard it, you might like it, you might not do. It's a lot, it's intense, it's a very full-on record, so if you're not prepared for that sort of level of intensity, you might not find it quite as appealing as otherwise, but frankly, I love it. I think it's an astonishingly good record, and still very, very much, you know, up there in the echelons. I'm one of these people who believe that Cult of Luna are one of the most consistent bands on the planet. They've never really put out anything objectively bad. Some records maybe not quite so good as others, but when you're making the comparisons between S tier and S plus tier or A plus whatever, who cares? It's still incredible. And just to have this limited edition vinyl just like that, just sitting there, was just... I couldn't resist that temptation. Okay, so just to prove that I actually do still have some prog credentials, and I'm not just all about, like, you know, new music and all that sort of stuff, I had to get myself Selling England, because... it's what you do. Like, I was torn between, obviously, like, do I buy Dark Side of the Moon? Do I buy In the Court of the Crimson King? Do I buy Thick as a Brick? What? I don't know. So I felt like I had to get at least one of these sort of like the classics, as it were, like the old school, like the proper stuff. And Selling England was just like there, and I just thought to myself, do you know what? Gotta get it. It is... categorically, as far as I'm concerned, the best Genesis album. It is hands down my favourite. A lot of people will cite Lamb Lies Down, which is fine. I agree that that is an incredible record, but that would very narrowly be at my number 2 spot. There's something about Selling England just really just works for me so well. Just from the opening like moments of Dancing with the Moonlit Night, I'm just like, okay, I'm sold. This is absolutely incredible. And there's just so much on here that I just love. I love it so, so much. And it just felt right, you know? To have, like, my first sort of classic prog, as it were, on vinyl from the era. This felt like it was the right decision to make, like, the right call. and I'm so glad that I grabbed this one. Speaking of classic prog, I didn't stop there! Well, technically speaking, I bought this one before I bought the Genesis record, but who's counting? One of my record store day pickups was Brain Salad Surgery by Emerson, Lake and Palmer, but this is the picture disc version that was released exclusively for Record Store Day, so it's just got this beautiful Geiger artwork on it. It's just like, both sides, it's cool as hell, it just looks incredible. The actual, like, slipcase is a little bit lacking. I mean, Brain Salad Surgery, oh, I wonder what record I bought. Then you kind of got like the reverse of the album once you've taken the disc out. I mean, it looks cool, but there's like literally no liner notes whatsoever, which is a little disappointing considering it's a limited edition release. But it's Brain Salad Surgery, it's a classic, it's absolutely incredible. I know a lot of people... I mean, okay, technically speaking, I do prefer Tarkus. It was my introduction to the band and will probably always be the one that I, fall back to. But they didn't have a limited edition Record Store Day release for that one, so Brain Salad Surgery it was. Which, again, this is probably my second favourite from the band. It's just remarkably, just a cool record from start to finish. I just love it so much. And again, it sounds incredible on vinyl. Like, it's the way it's meant to be played, Love it. Very, very pleased with this pickup. Absolutely love it. Continuing on with the sort of limited edition release kind of thing, I picked up Moontooth's latest record, Phototroph, which was one of my... it didn't quite make the cut of my favourite of the year list when it came out, but it was always a record that I enjoyed, always something that I sort of, came back to and always felt to myself, this is good. It's kind of like... I suppose Mastodon, but like more cheerful in a kind of sort of way, like Major Key Mastodon. But again, this was a limited edition release. I'm not entirely sure how many pressings of this there were, but it's a gorgeous, gorgeous vinyl. I mean, just look at that. It looks like a blue cheese pizza or something like that. I don't know, it's beautiful looking. But again, yeah, I just couldn't resist it. This was a really, really weirdly inexpensive release. I think it was like 12 quid or something like that. So I was like, okay, £12 for a limited edition one, let's go, baby. Sounds great on vinyl, as you'd probably expect. I mean, it's just a really fun record. It's not like a mind-blowing classic or anything like that, but it is definitely a fun listen more than anything else. So if you've not listened to this one yet, I would definitely recommend you give it give it a spin, see what you think. Okay, continuing the trend of buying the records from this year, which I've really been enjoying quite a lot, we have got Sermon with Of Golden Verse. Now, again, incredible, incredible record. Picked this one up for about 20 notes, I think it was, something like that. It wasn't too expensive, it was just kind of there. It's, again, got this really nice sort of intense gatefold. It's really, really cool. Lacking on the liner notes, though, it sort of comes on a... sheet of paper where you've got him staring out at you like, ooh. He's all very spooky and mysterious and what have you. But, no, not really much in the way of, lyrics or anything like that. But, it's fine. It's fine, but, again, it was another limited release one, which I just couldn't resist getting, because apparently that's my thing now. Just, I'm a sucker for limited releases, apparently. This one is in particular quite a beautiful one, coming on this beautiful, gorgeous marbled black and gold. It just looks so, so pretty. Kind of reminds me of a cymbal from a drum kit or something like that, but don't hit it with a drumstick. If you hit my record with a drumstick, I'm going to be very, very upset. If you've not heard this record, honestly, amazing, cannot recommend it enough. Really solid, just punchy, kind of like Ghost a little bit in a sort of way, but a little bit proggier, definitely a little bit heavier, certainly thematically at least. Ghost has always felt like a little bit theatrical and silly a little bit, whereas Sermon feels a bit more intense, kind of like they're taking this a bit more seriously sort of thing, him being a spooky man in a golden mask. And again, if I can get it to work, there is a review to the record up there. Definitely going to be riding high on my year-end list, this one so far, unless a whole bunch of other stuff comes out, which is better than it, but who knows what the future holds. There's plenty of stuff to come out this year yet, but love it. Great record. Carrying on my weirdly cheap finds, I was able to snag a copy of Mastodon's Hushed and Grim, which is a lovely, quite frankly, fabulous record. The gatefold again, Very, very nice. Got a big old bit of artwork over there. Track listing. No, not track listing. What am I talking about? That's literally telling me who the band is. But I know who the band is. So if you didn't know, it's Bram Daylor, Brent Hines, Bill Kelleher, and Troy Sanders, with artwork by Paul Romano. So this is a great record. I've always been sort of like hit and miss with Mastodon. Like their early stuff was amazing. You know, obviously Leviathan, boom, Crack the Sky, boom, love it. But The Hunter, Once More Around the Sun, was kind of mid on those records. They were a bit, I don't know, they just didn't really capture me. But Hushed and Grim, absolutely loved it. I mean, to be able to make effectively a double album, and this is a long boy. This is a very, very long boy. You know, it's a double LP. You've got each of the four, each side is like chock full of just, you know, meaty goodness, as it were. But this one really, really did it for me. I was so impressed with how good this record was, considering that I had low expectations for it from how average I found the previous output to this record. I went into it very low expectations, but honestly, absolutely loved it. And if you've not heard this one yet, definitely recommend you give it a shot. And last of all, and in some ways the record that's kind of responsible for me, you know, starting collecting vinyl, really. It's Bluey's Dance Mode from the Record Store Day exclusive. It's the Zoetrope vinyl, which is honestly cool as hell. So, like, the actual vinyl record has the Zoetrope pattern on side A and Chatham Axe of Doom on side B. But, you know, when you spin this on your vinyl player and you've got like an appropriate Zoetrope app, like a stroboscope effect or whatever, obviously you've got Bandit, Chili, Bluey and Bingo all just dancing to the music at the same time as you listen to it, with Chatham Axe sort of staying weirdly like static around. It's freaky. There are plenty of videos online if you look them up. I haven't found a good way to capture the footage properly. I can view it through like using a stroboscope effect, but I've not found a good way to record it yet. But I probably wouldn't take a very good video anyway. There are places that you can go to if you actually really do want to see like the actual effect, but it's very, very cool. This was very limited in release. There were like 1,500 copies in the entire world. And Muggins here was lucky enough to actually snag himself a copy, which to this day I'm still entirely not sure how I managed to do that, considering I didn't even, like, you know, queue up at 3 o'clock in the morning or anything on Record Store Day. I sort of sauntered down there at only like 6 AM or whatever, but I don't know, I guess I just got lucky. My local record store is really, honestly, really very good at this. I've got a little thing here with their logo on it. Little Action Records there, who've been a music specialist since 1979. I believe they started up as a small like market stall in Blackpool back in the late 70s, and they've sort of moved to my hometown fairly recently. I'll say fairly recently. What am I talking about fairly recently? No, they've been there for a long-ass time now. So, yeah, they have been amazing. Like, I spent a good 40 minutes in there today, I think, something like that. And I could have spent 2-3 times as much as I spent easily. So, I'm going to, you know, pop down there maybe once a month or so after payday and spoil myself. And hopefully, you know, keep them in business. But no, yeah, so that is where I am at with my vinyl record collection at the moment. 10 records of my own. My partner is also sort of like, sort of started semi-collecting as well on the side. They picked up like 4 records recently as well, which I believe were, which I will briefly show off here as well. We've got a couple of Record Store Day ones as well. We've got the Blur Special Collector's Edition vinyl there, which has got some of the rarer sort of cuts from Blur on there, which is very, very nice. It's a 2 LP, very fancy. The Duran Duran's Rio Carnival, also from Record Store Day 2023, with some alternate versions and mixes of tracks like Rio, Hungry Like the Wolf, New Religion. It's really good. The different versions, like the night versions, Carnival remix, all that sort of thing, really interesting compared to the actual album versions. They're a lot more bass really pops on these. It's nice. It's really, really cool. Definitely worth a listen. And then today they picked up Homework by Daft Punk, which, if you've not listened to it, frankly, it's one of the best electronica albums, like, literally ever made. If you've never heard it, you'll probably know at least some of the tracks there on the back. I'm certain some of you will be familiar with those. And last but not least, the Tron Legacy Reconfigured vinyl as well, again from Daft Punk. with some remixes of the songs that were found on the soundtrack for Tron Legacy, I believe. D-Res has always been a favourite of mine. I've always loved that track. I haven't actually listened to this yet. I will probably get around to doing that at some point soon. And yeah, that's what they picked up. So obviously, I don't lay claim to any of those last four, but, you know, when you're with somebody, your records become theirs and vice versa. Not that I imagine much of mine will get listened to by anyone other than myself. But yeah, there we go. Start of a budding record collection. I'm not going to start replacing my CDs, obviously, because I still keep them around just for the convenience sake of them, you know, just pop it in, press play, don't think about it. But I've been thoroughly enjoying the interactivity, shall we say, that comes from vinyl. It feels like more of an event, as it were. You know, you've got the big artwork, you've got this big disc, you know, you've got the involved process of flipping it and then lifting the handle, dropping on the turntable, and just, I don't know, it's just satisfying, you know. And I feel like I've been a convert, you know, and I'm ready and happy to get further into this whole vinyl shenanigans thing. So yeah, hopefully I'll be able to drop you a shorter update once every couple of months or so and see what I've picked up, as I'm going to try and sort of aim for like 2 or 3 vinyl records a month for the next foreseeable, as it were. And I'll keep you posted as to how I'm getting on with the collection. Maybe I'll even post a picture of a decent sound system that I have when I finally get one, because at the moment it's a little bit basic, but baby steps and all that, you know, it can only go better places from here. So thank you all very much for watching, and until next time, guys, keep your rhyme signatures odd.